to the motion.
Okay.
But the motion's got to be voted on first, right?
No, not if you
No,
amend
it's
it.
already been seconded. You have a motion, the body has a motion. Now you're doing the discussion. If he wants to add an amendment, he can offer that through the who moved it.
And
the
that is voted on separate.
Yes, to see if they want to amend the motion.
Okay, Walter, what's your amendment?
My amendment to the motion, Mr. Mayor, would be to accept, and some of this will incorporate earlier verbiage, to accept the Entryway Beautification Project report and to direct staff to not only follow the report's Phase 3 implementation plan and prioritization, but to more specifically and immediately, one, reappropriate for such implementation the remainder of this project's design funds that were not utilized in FY 2014. Again this spring to bring in the red shirts, quote unquote, to knock down weeds at all 4 major highway entrances to the city. Third, to prioritize the North Entry enhancement, objective 3.2.3.5, and pursue this improvement immediately through a design bid build model. And fourth, utilize the self-performance landscape installation vegetation management program 5-year plan on page 35 of the report, including annually budgeting for the estimated cost of such program.
Well, I'll second it, but I have a question,
Okay.
and it's probably for the attorney again. That is an over-encompassing amendment that would actually eliminate the original motion, would it not?
It seemed like it
Well,
was
it
replacing
says the same
original
thing,
motion.
you know, and with that, you know,
Withdraw your motion?
I will withdraw mine and let Walter stand as the motion if the seconder is okay with that.
But it's no longer yours.
He's saying what we wanted to say.
he did.
You may do
incorporated
it,
in the rest.
if you get the consensus of the council, the motion can be withdrawn,
Okay.
because the entire council says that they want to have it withdrawn. If that is what you wish to do, you can put that before the council.
Or you could re-vote on the motion, and kill the motion, and just have Walter make another motion.
Well, right now, it's
No,
been
you have to
seconded, so
vote
you
to
have a
amend.
motion to amend. Unless the council, you guys could just say that you want to get rid of the first one, vote on that, and then accept Walter's motion.
I'm okay. Are you guys okay with withdrawing the first motion?
I am.
Fine with that.
How about you, Art? You did the second round?
I'm good.
Okay. Consider that motion scrubbed now. So the motion changes.
Go ahead.
Walter, go ahead and do it.
Say that whole thing
I'll let-
again.
You're going to let me do it?
I'm gonna let the mayor read it since he has written it all down word for word.
He's giving.
Would you be so kind to read this motion to Walter, please? And the second by Wayne.
Stephanie, there's one change in what you have, if I may, Mr. Mayor, and that is to change number 1 to read remainder of the project's design funds, because Gary pointed out 21,000 is not still available.
A motion to accept the Entryway Beautification Project report and to direct staff to not only follow the report's Phase 3 implementation plan and prioritization, but to more specifically and immediately reappropriate for such implementation the remainder of the project's design funds that were not utilized in fiscal year 2014. Again, this spring, bring in red shirts to knock down weeds at all 4 major highway entrances to the city. Number 3, prioritize the North Entry enhancement, objective 3.2.3.5, and pursue this improvement immediately through a design bid build model. And 4, utilize the self-performance landscape installation and vegetation management program plan on page 35 of the report, including annual budgeting for the estimated cost of the program.
And it was seconded by Wayne.
Yep.
John, you have a question on it?
No, just a comment.
Okay.
If we're, I can't support that. And the reason I can't support it is we went from $57,670 to probably $110,000, $120,000 for this budget year that we're going to be dealing with shortly. And what that does, in my opinion, it takes another amount another $60,000 that we may or may not need somewhere else in the budget, and we have appropriated it without seeing anything else. And unless I see more than I've seen, I have nothing against beautifying the city. I have nothing against starting on the northern end. But if we're going to commit the city's budget to $120,000 or better just to beautify the north end of Moscow without knowing what other budget requirements the city is going to have, I think we're making a mistake, and that would be the reason that I can't support this motion.
Jim?
I'd like to ask Bill if maybe as this was put together, if there wasn't a funding source identified, maybe that we're not aware of yet, to do the design bid build project. Was there something in the steering committee that went on there where some funding source was identified that we don't know about?
No, the intent was the goal was to develop improvement plans and develop those cost estimates, and then the council could consider those through the budget process. So there's no funding source that the steering committee was aware that the council is not aware of. This was just a suggestion of how improvements could be made.
Walter, you have another comment?
Mr. Mayor, to answer John's comments, John, it was never my intent, and I don't believe the motion intends, to add $50,000 on top of $57,670. There's nothing that says that year one couldn't be the 2017 budget and year two, 2018, with the north entry, the $50,000 for that being the 2016 budget cycle. The motion instructs staff to follow the report's implementation plan and prioritization, and to prioritize the north entry under the design bid build model. It does not tell staff how to create the budget to bring forward to us, and it does not, in my opinion, specifically state that we're going to be looking for $107,000 in the FY16 budget. I will accept it as a challenge to staff to figure out how to get this done with all, due speed, if you would.
Yeah, and I understand, Walter, it could be interpreted that way. I read it the same way John does, and that is that you, in this motion, directing staff to bring forward the prioritization of the north entry, which by Bill's estimate is between $50,000 and $80,000, and to begin the 5-year plan, which is $57,000. It doesn't say it can be delayed, and I guess I'm looking for what amount of flexibility is there here. It's extraordinary for the council to instruct staff as a policy-making body to employ a certain entity to conduct weed control. Typically, the council would say, take care of the weeds at the entryway, not instruct staff or administration that you are to hire this certain person to do that. So it's a very inclusive motion, and we can do it. I guess what I'm looking for is what amount of flexibility do you want in it? If we're to develop this in the budget coming forward, we can certainly do that. That's not a problem at all. If you want to take some funds and pursue some things this year that we can't absorb in our maintenance budget, we can certainly do that as well. And I'm just looking for some guidance on how to do that, or what you want to do that.
Walter, when I seconded your motion, I really didn't understand it to be something that had to be completed this year, that it would be financed and built in 1 year. I thought,
I don't see it
as
in there.
Gary was saying, that it would be
I don't see that in here.
But it would be through the design bid build process that we would get started on it right away, and it would definitely prioritize it so that we could move forward and expedite it as we can in whatever best financial method we can.
I don't see in it what y'all are reading in it. I would accept a proposal to provide staff relief from the ability of doing what they feel like they're being asked to do. I liked the red shirts last year. Mm-hmm. The red shirts did a fantastic job of getting it knocked down in 2 days and taken care of. I have heard pushback from staff at wanting to hire people on a seasonal basis to do that and not use the red shirts. We spent $1,800,
16.
$1,600 to knock it down with red shirts in 2 days. If it takes a council motion and vote to say do it again, I'm prepared to make that motion. Council may not support it, but we can fiddle around working on hiring seasonal staff to put people out there to work for 2 solid months, a couple of guys, to try to achieve the same things we did for $1,600 in 2 days. It just struck me as a wonderful, easy thing that we did, and I just wanted to make sure we did it again. I'm sorry. Gary had his hand up, Mayor.
Yeah, certainly, and I have no problem at all. And if you've heard feedback, negative feedback, I have not heard that same negative feedback. So if you're in possession of information that I don't have, I'd certainly like to hear it. We'll do it in the most expeditious way possible if this is available. I've had conversations with Dwight. If this is the best way to do it and it's the most cost effective, certainly that's what we'll do. But again, what I'm looking for is some guidance and to know what kind of flexibility you want from us. In this motion, you say about pursuing the North Entry Enhancement Project immediately through a design, bid, build model. Immediately to me means now before the end of this budget year. Is that correct or not?
We never do anything that fast, Gary. Immediately a start on it, in my opinion.
That's the way I understand it. Immediately means immediately start on it. That doesn't mean it's going to get completed this year.
It doesn't have a conclusion date on it, Gary. I mean, if you need lighter wording in it, I'd be happy to entertain that. I asked staff after the Public Works Finance Committee meeting last Monday to create a more specific action proposal in tonight's packet. I couldn't get it. I had to write my own, and I did.
Well, I guess we'll see if it passes. Everybody done talking, or is there more conversation we want to have before I start asking for a roll? Art?
I still don't think we've given enough direction as requested by staff on how we'd like to proceed relatively specifically, and perhaps loosening up the language to indicate not necessarily red shirts, but the most efficient, cost-effective, and timely means of approaching the weed issue would be more appropriate, which would include part-time seasonal staff as well as red shirts, because red shirts is good, but it's more than a one-off to take care of the weeds. You'd have to visit it several times throughout a growing season.
Not if you cut them at the end of the rainy season. You knock them down, they stay down.
Yeah. So anyway, I'd, in any case, like to see that language loosened up a little bit, and also I'd like to maybe see some language that clarifies to staff that immediately might involve the weed whacking and maybe some sign movement immediately, but the longer bidding project could occur in time for the budget cycle to work its way through, and then the years 1 through 5 could pick up subsequent to that. Start working the other entrances after we go through the north entrance, and then pick this up afterwards, because really it's year 1. When does year 1 start? Whenever we decide we want to. So I'd like to just see more specifically start in on the bid build on the north, get that worked into next year's budget, use the money that we have now to take care of the growing season, and then start year 1 subsequent to the north end.
Dan?
Yeah, I think Walter's motion kind of, to me, it seems to allow that flexibility.
Yeah.
You know, it's other than specifically calling out, the red shirts there. That's the only thing that really I see as specific. But otherwise, the way we're talking about it, I think the staff can realize that we're being flexible with it.
Yeah, but at the same time requesting some specifics on how exactly to approach this in a temporal fashion. So I think to assist staff and to clarify exactly what we want this project, we sort of have to lay out a timeline that we would like to see things done.
If the red shirt, the $1,600 red shirts to cut the weeds at 4 entrances of Moscow is a problem, I'll take that out of the motion if the seconder agrees.
It's been seconded. That will require the consensus of the council.
I don't know that I would agree to have that taken out. It seems like there's an awful lot of talk about cutting weeds when there's a whole lot more involved in beautification project than just knocking weeds down.
I'd call the question.
Okay, call the question. John, you're going to start the vote.
No.
So this is for the question.
The question's calling for the question and the motion, so we're...
This is the vote on call for the question.
Yeah.
Oh, aye. Yes.
Aye.
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 Okay, so, question has been called for, so now we can go with the motion, right?
Yep.
John, we'll start with you.
No.
I'll say no as well.
Aye.
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 Okay, it passes 4-2. There's 4 in favor of Walter's motion, seconded by Wayne, and 2 against. So, number 6 is done. Okay, with that, I will move on to reports, and I will start with you.